Hi, I'm Chef Jahnke, and today I want to show you how we can clean and fillet a whole round fish. I mentioned today we are filling a round fish. Today we have a grouper here and a salmon trout. Round fish because the fish basically has a round surface, because we also have kind of what's called flat fish, which is basically like flounder, for example. Because they're different when we want to fillet them, because we get like almost 4 fillets out of in flat fish, because each side has 2 fillets now. When we have a round fish, basically it's all the other types of fish. There's so many, starting from even like herring, small fish, sardines, they all have that shape. It's when we get just 2 fillets off from the fish on the end. Even the big large fish like a Mahi Mahi or swordfish, all of them kind of the same way they are built. And usually what we do, we cut on the bone to get off one side fillet and then the other side, which I will show you later. And what else could we need? We need to have some fillet knives. We have small and large fillet knives. If it's like not such a large fish, a small fish, it's enough. We can use a small knife. Important is that the blade is not too thick, because when we move the knife over the bone, we don't want to move with a big surface of the knife, of the blade, or the fish fillet. So that's why they always usually thin, and of course they have to be sharp. That's very important. Beside that, we can need some scissors, different scissors, stainless preference or culinary scissors, because we want to cut off the spines and the tail and all that part before we start anything doing to it. And then we have these scalers to take the scales off, of course. There are many different varieties. Also, a fork works if you don't have one of those, or even like a knife, not so sharp, giving it like with an angle, and we will also have to get the scales off. And of course we need to have a cutting board, we need to have bowls and all that for the bones and for the fish. But first thing, well, let's analyze our fish. So here we have 2 fresh fish we got in today. We have a grouper and we have a salmon trout. Grouper has a white fish fillet, very tender, delicious, and salmon trout, well, the name tells us it has the meat exactly like salmon, high amount of fat, which is great flavor. And if they come from, let's say, connected to the ocean, river, or from ocean, of course, they always have omega-3, because they eat microalgae, which they obtain from that. And ocean fish, of course, are usually a better option than farm-raised fish, because, well, we don't know what the farm-raised fish gets, and the antibiotics and all that, well, other things it causes, like too much parasites, and that's different story. Today we want to talk about how we can fillet them, but before I want to show you how we can identify like kind of the freshness. And there's like different things we can tell, and it kind of applies for all fish. First of all, we want to see that it's shiny. When they're shiny, they still have like a little slime on it, which tells us it's fresh. When they are like too much frozen, out frozen, then, or they are old, they would just like kind of like not shiny anymore, with very dry skin. So we do want to see like kind of a shiny skin. That's important. Another thing is we want to look at the eye. Sometimes it's like, it's not about the color of the eye, because some fish has white eyes or orange, light orange eyes. It's about like the kind of the thing, the protective skin around it, which is almost like a gelatine, and it will dry out and will get drier after the time. So drier and dried out the eye looks, if there's no more shine on that jelly on the top of the eye, you can also tell it's like an older fish. No? Another thing is we can touch the meat. If the meat bounces back when we touch it, when we push it, it should come back. If it just stays and it stays like a hole inside, or like a little bump, then we know it's also like the meat texture too much frozen and out frozen, and it's like just kind of like no more texture left, because all the fibers left in the water has basically drained out the fish. Another thing we can look is inside to the gills, but that's like kind of difficult, because sometimes you would say the gills should be look very fresh and red. Yeah, like in that case here you can see how beautiful red and fresh they look. But there's also fish which has dark meat, like a tuna and all of them. So like when you have a tuna, of course they also have dark scales, so they would not be so red, so bright red. They would be like more brownish, but still be a fresh fish. So it's not something I would always apply. Another thing is we can look the scales. When we touch the scales and we want to try to get them off, they have to jump. When they jump, that means they're still solid to the skin. When they just like fall off and just like go off like that, then you also know the fish is already older and the skin has basically like putrefied, and always the scales are just falling off like that. No? Another fact, of course, the smell. Fresh fish should not smell like fish. Like in that case, they don't smell like anything right now here, which is of course important. Sometimes also, for example, we can take a look. The fish, when they are alive, they have colors. For example, this is a salmon trout and they have a beautiful red line going on here. So when they still preserve some of the colors, because it disappears once the fish has died, little by little it disappears, the color. Here in the grouper has points usually, and they have a green color, like a greenish color. So I still can see here the points of it, which also indicates me that this is a good and fresh fish quality. And well, what we're gonna do next is, of course, cleaning them, and well, let me show you how we have to clean them. So first thing we want to do, we want to of course wash the fish and take out the guts. That's the only thing I tell the guy who delivers my fish, take out the guts. We don't leave the guts inside because it gets let's say a bad flavor into the meat section. And the guy who's filling it, of course, he has to take let's say take the guts out. He has to know how to take them out, because we have some isopods here. We don't want to break on the fish. It would get bitter on the fish, no? And so here we want to first wash it very nice with cold water. It's the next step. And then first thing we have to do, we have to cut off all those spines everywhere. I mean, just take a look at them. Those are dangerous, you know. When they get into your skin or something, it can get you very bad infection, and we try to avoid that. And they are hidden everywhere, you know, even on the bottom part. They're also in here, in those sections. Here's another spine, you can see that. It's very dangerous, and everywhere we want to cut them off first. That's the first step we want to do. Same even on the salmon trout, the same thing. We want to take off all those little fins, everything, and then we have a safe fish to now do the next step, which would be basically scaling them. But the scaling we're going to do in the sink. I recommend it because when the fresh fish is fresh, they will jump all over. And you should make it inside the sink, and so you don't get everything dirty all over. And remember, you can use utensils for that, or you can use the back part of a knife, just give it an angle and very smooth. Or you can also use a fork. That works too, to take off the scales, no? So I will start now to make those two processes. I will cut off with the scissors all the fins, and then after I will descale them and wash them with cold water, so we can go to the fillet process. So now we cut off the fins, took off the scales, we washed the fish with cold water, and now comes the next step to take off the fillet. And we have to be careful. We don't want to cut straight down because the fish have different heads and different shapes of the heads, you know? Like for example here, this grouper has a bigger head than the trout. So we want to cut around the head in a circle. So we also obtain the meat which is in that part here. And bigger the fish, there's another nice tasteful piece. It's in here, the cheek. It's just delicious. And like in a Mahi Mahi, for example, no? Or in a bigger grouper. So we also can take out that fillet part here. We know we don't want to throw anything away. The bones you can use to make broths and stews and things like that, right? And well, now I will show you how to fillet them. To fillet them, I will just go straight on the bone on each side to take off the fillet. We keep the skin because it protects the fillet, it holds it together. And also it's delicious, you know, we took off the scales, so this is edible. And we want to cut, like I said, cutting around the herd in a circle to not lose any meat. And the idea is to make it quick and with not too much cuts, because now you would see too much cuttings in your fillet. It should be straight, smooth, and quick cuts to get a beautiful straight fillet. We can see the good quality on the fillet process if there's no more meat left on the center bone. But let me show you how we can do that with those two fishes here. Thank you very much for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it or was helpful. I'm Chef David Jahnke and hope you watch me soon again.